Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Martinez. I'm a HUD-approved housing counselor for Avenue CDC. Thank you for joining us today for the Houston Community Land Trust Q&A. Today, we have our presenters, Nina Collada and Ashley Allen from Houston Community Land Trust to talk about their new Homebuyers Choice Program. So now I will transfer it to Ashley Allen so she can start the presentation about their program.
Neighborhood, and that was the Acres Homes community. So now the new program you all are going to hear about today, the Homebuyer Choice Program, allows us to be able to go and support home buyers and communities throughout the city. And the way that the land trust model works is by placing the land beneath the homes in the land trust, the CLT homeowners help protect these homes and make sure that they're affordable for future generations. So when you buy a land trust home, it's affordable to you. And then when you resell, somebody else will also have that same opportunity that you had to purchase at an affordable cost. Next slide. So the history of CLTs. The first CLT actually started in Albany, Georgia, and it's called the New Communities Land Trust, and it is still around today. We actually had an opportunity to attend the 50th anniversary of the Land Trust last October. And the New Communities Land Trust was developed by African-American farmers as a result of the civil rights movement. So a lot of African-American farmers were being terrorized because of their activities and involvement in the civil rights movement. And so they came together to form a land trust so that they could collectively own the land and have a little bit more power and protect themselves against speculators that were trying to take their land. Next slide, please. So land trust started in Albany, Georgia, but the first land trust here in Texas is the Guadalupe Land Trust in Austin. So it's not new. The land trust model might be new to some of you, and you may have never heard of it before, but it is not new to Texas or to the United States. So Guadalupe Land Trust has been around for quite a while, and they have been able to keep homes affordable in the Austin area. As you all know, the Austin's become extremely expensive, just like many other cities. And that is why there are over 200 CLTs in cities and towns across the United States, including major cities like New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, Dallas, Atlanta, and Boston. Next slide. So just kind of an overview of the land trust. What does land trust ownership, home ownership look like? So at purchase, the Houston Community Land Trust acquires the land beneath the home. So when you purchase the improvements and exclusive rights to the land as a home buyer, and then the land remains in the trust. So our role as a nonprofit organization, as a land trust, as a community land trust, we keep it in the land trust to become, and it becomes a protected community asset, meaning we make sure that it remains affordable, and the money that has been put into that property to make it affordable meets the needs of the community. So that means if you purchase and you decide to sell, again, somebody else can benefit from that home in the future. Once it's affordable, it is always affordable. However, if you choose to stay in your property, and it's a 99-year ground lease, so you are able to have exclusive rights to that property for 99 years, you can still pass that land on, the exclusive rights to that land, to your heirs. And then again, it still remains affordable and part of the community, and keeping affordability in communities that are currently seeing extreme increase in housing prices. When you decide to become a community land trust homeowner, you're agreeing to make sure that that home is your primary residence. You will kind of go a little bit more into that a little bit later, but you cannot use it for an income property. You have to live in the home as your primary residence, meaning you have to live there at least 9 months out of the year. You're agreeing to properly maintain that home, because again, it is a community asset, the land is. And then the home, of course, when you want to resell, you want to be able to resell it and have another person benefit from the great home in which you were able to benefit from. And you agree to resell to an income qualified buyer. When we say income qualified, that means under 80% of the area median income. And so anybody who purchases a home through the land trust must also meet that requirement. And then when we sell it at a predetermined affordable price. Again, making sure that the investment that's been put into that home to make it affordable continues to be affordable, not just for you as the first home buyer, the first purchaser of that property, but for every purchaser of that property moving forward. Next slide. So what are some of the differences between the community land trust and traditional home ownership? So some of the similarities. As a home buyer, you have exclusive rights to the lands. You must qualify for a mortgage. So that means that you do have to go through a mortgage lender. They have to look at your credit and your payment history and things of that nature. Just like with the regular home, you have the ability to build equity. It is limited equity, again, to keep that home affordable for the next home buyer, but you are still building equity as you pay down your mortgage and as the home appreciates every year. The home is inheritable, meaning you can pass it down to your heirs. Property taxes must be paid. Property taxes are paid, but they are reduced. And you still qualify for homestead exemptions as well as other exemptions such as for seniors. Some of the differences: CLT homes are more affordable. In our previous program, New Home Development Program, the median home purchase price was $75,115 versus the market rate of that home, which was about $180,000. Homeowner leases the land as opposed to owning the land. You still have exclusive rights to the land, but again, you're keeping it in the land trust for the benefit of the lower purchase price, as well as, kind of to the next point, property taxes. So your property taxes are stable because property taxes are based on the appreciation of the home. So if the home we set the appreciation at 1.25% every year. So that means your property taxes will be based on that, meaning they will not go up and jump up like they can if your home appreciates very quickly. You then will be responsible for that increase in property taxes if you buy in a traditional way. That is not the case with the CLT. It is going to be stable and go up very minimally. And your property taxes are reduced because you're paying property taxes on the CLT purchase price and not the market rate value of the home. So you will see a pretty significant reduction in your property taxes. With the CLT home ownership, you get post-purchase support. When people buy homes, a lot of times they're not aware of everything that goes along with owning a home, like routine maintenance, how to weatherize your property, how to fill out a homestead exemption to make sure that you're getting the best rate on your property taxes. Our program provides stewardship, which means support for the homeowner after they purchase. So if you have questions as a new homeowner, we are here to help you and support you in that. And lastly, the resale price of the home is restricted. So if you purchase the home at $100,000, you cannot go and resell it at the market value if it's $300,000. Again, we set the appreciation at 1.25% every year. And so that is how we would determine the resale price of your home moving forward. Next slide. So just some common questions before we go into the actual Homebuyer Choice Program, which will tell you the steps that you would need to do through our program to actually purchase a home through the Community Land Trust and in partnership with Avenue CDC. So some common questions that we get a lot of the time are, can my children inherit the home? Yes, they can. They can inherit the property as long as it actually is not just children, it's children, spouses, and anybody who has lived in the property for at least 12 months prior to your passing. Can someone take the land away? No, they cannot. You have exclusive rights to that land. The land is in the land trust. And as a 501c3 nonprofit, we have to live up to our mission and what our bylaws say. So no, somebody cannot just come and take the land because we have a binding agreement that you have exclusive rights to that land. Can I move the home to another location? No, you cannot. Because the home and the land are attached and through the land trust, through our joinder that is signed upon purchase, you cannot take the home and move it to another plot of land. Can I sell the home? Yes, you can. You can sell the home at any time. I know some home buying programs say you have to stay in the home for a certain amount of time. For us, that is not the case. If you purchase the home in January and you hit the lottery in September and you want to move out of the home, you are more than willing to do so. But again, please remember you are agreeing to selling at a reduced price, again, to keep it affordable for the next buyer. But yes, you can sell the home. We will assist you in finding an income qualified buyer to purchase your home. But there are no stipulations on being able to sell. You just have to notify us that you are intending to sell so that we can make sure that somebody who is income qualified is purchasing the home. How long do I have to live in the home? Again, there's no amount of time that you have to live in the home to take to reap the benefits of being a CLT homeowner. And can I make changes or improvements to the home or land? Yes, you can, but just as with an HOA, there are certain restrictions on what kind of improvements you can make to the property. One, to make sure that it remains affordable, and two, to make sure that we're being good neighbors and it works with the community. So you would have to notify the CLT for certain improvements that you're going to make on the property, just as you would kind of like with an HOA, and then we will quickly process your request and get back to you. If you do make any improvements to the home, we do require that it be with a licensed and bonded contractor, just to make sure that that they're being done in a way that we can, if we have to resell the property later, that there won't be any issues. So yes, you can make improvements, but there are some restrictions on the improvements that you can make to the home. Mainly to the outside of the home. If you want to change some things on the inside, that is up to you. We actually have homeowners that immediately moved in and changed the backsplash, changed floors, those type of things. So inside, it's pretty much up to you. Outside, you would have to notify the CLT, and one of our staff members will help you through that process to get your changes and improvements done.
Ashley, move on.
Yes.
Can I ask you some questions that have been asked in the chat box? So
Yes.
And go over the questions that pertain to the conversations that you've had here and save a couple for later.
Okay.
So it says, can you repeat what's the limit for the equity that they can build per year?
1.25%.
1.25%, okay. And the other question was, if the property is inheritable, does the family member's income need to continue to be below 80% AMI to be able to live in the home?
Not if they are one of the three people that I mentioned, a spouse, a child, or somebody who's lived in the house for at least 12 months. If you decide to give the home to somebody other than those three people, let's say a godchild, a niece, a nephew, then they would have to be income qualified. However, they can still sell the property and reap the financial benefits of the sale. They just wouldn't be able to live in the home.
Okay, thank you. And then the other questions that we have, I'll ask at a later time.
Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. I'm going to turn it over to Nina to talk about the Homebuyer Choice Program and the steps for you to possibly be a CLT homeowner.
Thank you. So as Ashley said, my name is Nina Collada. I'm the Director of Programs at the Houston Community Land Trust, and I'm going to give an overview of our new program. We're calling it the Homebuyer Choice Program. And under this program, what the opportunity is an opportunity to become a homeowner at a price that is affordable to you, and specifically to become a community land trust homeowner with us. So under the Homebuyer Choice Program, what we're offering here is to work with homebuyers who are interested in community land trust homeownership to come into our program, apply with us to receive up to $150,000 in some cases, or up to $100,000 to assist with the purchase of a home that you choose, that's somewhere within the city of Houston and Harris County. Participating in this program means you need to be able to bring at least $70,000, usually in the form of mortgage financing, to your home purchase. And we'll talk a little bit more about the details of that in a little bit. But you bring at least $70,000 or a slightly higher amount, as long as it's affordable to you. And then we bring up to $100,000 or $150,000 to cover the rest of the home's purchase price, as well as some of your closing costs as well. And when we go into this home purchase together, we actually come out the other side together as well. So what happens through the Homebuyer Choice Program is the home buyer, that's you, comes in and purchases the improvements or the home itself, and the community land trust comes in and acquires the land beneath the home to place in trust. Then we enter into that really long-term stable ground lease with you that gives you the exclusive right from that point forward to use the land, to occupy it, because you're the homeowner who owns the home on top of that land. So that's the sort of high-level overview of what the program is. I'll talk a little bit about qualifying for the program, as well as what kind of homes we can assist with your purchase of through this program. So how do home buyers qualify? We serve folks who are making 80% of the area median income or below for their household size. The chart here shows the 2020 income limits. Since folks here are working with Avenue, I am sure you all have a good understanding of where you are on this eligibility spectrum, and also have been through some of our other requirements already as well. Our home buyers do need to be mortgage ready. So that means having a healthy credit score. Typically, our lenders are looking for a 620 to a 640 and above in order to be able to finance your part of that purchase. Typically, a lender is going to look at least 2 years of steady income or work history, and they're going to want to know that your monthly debts, so your credit cards, your student loans that are actively being paid, and your car loan, etc., are reasonably within your income. So under our program, all of those monthly debts plus whatever you're going to end up paying for your housing can't be more than 45% of your gross monthly paycheck. So just keep that in mind. That's a relatively ballpark number for folks. Our home buyers do need to have at least $1,000 in the savings account that they won't need to use toward their home purchase, that they can keep in that account until after the purchase. And they'll also have to be able to bring an additional $350 at minimum to put down towards the home purchase. I would note that our lenders, typically they can finance 100% of the CLT, home buyer contribution amount that's going towards the purchase of your home. So there isn't typically a large down payment associated with buying a community land trust home, which is great. And as I mentioned before, part of that $100,000 or $150,000 that we can provide can go towards closing costs. So it's really lowering that initial barrier to entry of buying a home, which can be expensive. You can't currently own a home in order to participate in the program, though we don't have a first-time homebuyer requirement specifically. So if you are a current homeowner, but you would be interested in a new community land trust home, then you would need to sell that existing property first. And then finally, we do have homebuyer education requirements. Avenue CDC's homebuyer education class meets one of those requirements. And then the other half of that requirement is meeting with the community land trust staff to really do a deep dive on the ground lease and the sort of rights and obligations of community land trust homeownership.
Nina, I have a couple questions based on this slide. So Grace Dominguez asked, how long does one have to have a job before being able to apply?
Thanks, great question, Grace. We at the Community Land Trust, we don't have any requirements on that, but when you're applying for your mortgage, the lender is going to look at that. It varies by lender, but typically they're going to want to see at least 2 years of a steady work history. So there are lots of ins and outs to that a housing counselor would know a lot more about than I do. But rule of thumb that I tell folks is at least a couple of years of having that steady stream of income. It could be a little bit longer if you're self-employed, however. So is that
okay? We have another client, Nana. Her question is, do teachers qualify for this Houston Community Land Trust program?
Great, absolutely. The rule of thumb for qualifying is really what's your annual gross household income. So what that means is not just your take-home pay or your net income, but what your gross before taxes and benefits is taken out. What is that for every adult in your household combined? If it's below the limits in this chart, then you qualify for this program.
Okay, and then the next question is from Shanae. Will the homes will the homes chosen by the home buyer need to be in areas with a certain income level? So I'm guessing referencing to the community.
Right. Okay. So we don't have restrictions on which communities you can shop for a home in, except that they must be in the city of Houston's incorporated limits. So not outside of the formal limits of the city of Houston. And they should also be in Harris County. Some parts of Houston are in Montgomery County and Fort Bend County. We can't serve those areas at this time. Then really the buyer can search in any community of their choice. You are going to be somewhat limited in where you are able to find a home that is within your price range, of course, but that's true for anybody in any program. So.
Okay, and then the other question is, does the owner ever have the opportunity of owning the land?
The answer is no. With the community land trust homeownership, the land is kept and held in the trust forever. So in perpetuity, we, as the land trust, our goal is to make sure that that land is permanently held as a community asset going forward. So though the home can be passed on to heirs, and that exclusive right to use the land that goes along with that can also be passed on, the land itself is never going to be owned by any individual homeowner. Okay.
And then Ashley has, are the interest rates based on an individual's credit score, or is the interest rate set based on the program?
No, the interest rates that you'll be getting with the mortgage are set by the lender according to credit score and like typical underwriting.
Okay. And then another question from Onan Fam. Could I choose the lender?
Only certain lenders, unfortunately, are familiar with and able to originate community land trust loans. Our organization is always working to expand the pool of lenders who can do this so that our buyers have more choices. But at this time, there's a very limited pool of lenders here in Houston who can do a loan on a community land trust home. So you would have to work with one of those program lenders.
And the reason being, right, is because it's a special program. So not all want to participate.
Not all lenders are going to be able to do these loans, and that's because of the land ownership. So if the community land trust owns it, lenders typically don't work with that kind of property. So that's why. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then another question is, can down payment assistance be stackable? For example, can the City of Houston or Harris County grant program be applied as well?
So the answer specifically to the City of Houston down payment is it is not stackable with this program. And the reason for that is because this is a City of Houston funded program. So they decided that they wouldn't fund one of these twice. So they're giving the community land trust funding instead. So no City of Houston down payment assistance. Harris County down payment assistance, I believe, is only available outside of the City of Houston, and our program only works within the City of Houston. But in the past, there have been other down payment assistance opportunities here, like there were LIFT funds last year. If that ever came up again, and there were some outside down payment assistance available, then it would absolutely work with our program.
And sometimes there are some savings programs that the client can participate in, and since those are gift funds, those can be used in this type of transaction. But just keep in mind, everyone, that you're getting a little bit more than what the city program or the Harris County can give you. It's $100,000 or $150,000 in the purchase, so that in itself, it's a lot more than what you could get from those programs. And I think that's all the questions for now, so you can continue with your presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you for the questions. So we've talked about how a home buyer would qualify for the program. What kind of home can you shop for and buy with the program assistance? So notably, we are only looking at single family homes right now. Townhomes are okay, but the parcel of land that it sits on can't be shared among other properties. You know, it has to be one house on one parcel of land to work with our program. At this time, we're not able to serve co-ops, condos, or manufactured homes. The home must, as I've said, be within the City of Houston limits and within Harris County. There's actually a map on our website where you can Google any address and find out whether it's formally within the City of Houston limits. A lot of times a mailing address will say Houston, Texas, but it's not actually within the city limits. So do pay attention to that map. What we're really looking for is whether the property pays taxes to the City of Houston. That's what we're going off of. I will put in the chat the URL for that web page at some point in this presentation. And the home cannot be located in a 100-year floodplain. You know, it's too much of an environmental hazard in Houston to be buying homes in the 100-year, we believe. So we're putting restrictions on that. But it could be in the 500-year floodplain, in which case the homeowner would have to buy flood insurance and factor that into their affordability calculation. And then quality. So again, this isn't a program for bringing in fixer-uppers and using the subsidy for that. We really are looking for homes that are in good condition. And typically we love new homes because they more easily fit that description. We have a picture here of one of the Avenue Meadows homes. This is a perfect example of the kind of home that is eligible for Homebuyer Choice Program assistance. They're within a good, reasonable price range that a lot of homebuyers can reach with the help of that $150,000. They are eligible for the $150,000 subsidy, and they are brand new and well constructed. So that's the kind of home that you would be looking for under the program. There are a couple of inspection requirements that the home will have to meet. And when you work with us, we make sure that those are very clear and that all of that is, you're helped through that process as the buyer. And then the price range. So as I've been mentioning, there are two different levels of subsidy available through this program. There's $100,000 for some homes and there's $150,000 for others. $150,000 is available for homes that are zoned to our best schools, so A and B rated public schools, and that includes charters. That's under the Texas Education Agency ratings. There's a map on our website that, again, I will share, where you can put in any property address and see whether it's zoned to an A and B rated school and within the city limits of Houston, so eligible for that $150,000 maximum subsidy. Other homes within the city are going to be eligible for $100,000. And again, that's a maximum. So if you're looking at a home and you only need $80,000 to close the afford it, then and that's the home of your dreams, then go for it. You know, obviously we are looking at that as a cap, and that amount is also intended to be used towards your closing costs. So it's generally not a good idea to max it all out on the home's purchase price, because you'd still have a chunk of cash that would be due at closing that money can help you with if you set some aside for that. The home buyer, again, is going to need to be able to qualify for mortgage financing in most cases. Most people don't have $70,000 in cash lying around, so that's where you're going to be applying for a mortgage, and you're going to be bringing what you can afford to your purchase. That minimum is $70,000, but you can bring more if it's affordable to you. And we define that as your housing payments aren't going to be more than a third of your gross monthly income, and your total debts, including your housing payment, your car payment, your credit cards, are not going to be more than 45% of your gross monthly income. And if you have questions about any of that, we would be happy to chat through your situation, or the Avenue folks are a perfect resource for that as well. And again, do keep that $350 cash requirement that you must bring at minimum to your closing. So that's what the numbers look like. And I know I'm taking up a lot of time. So I want to take more questions, but I also want to run through some of the benefits of the program before we end. So Ashley went over a lot of these, but I just want to reiterate why become a community land trust homeowner. And here are some of the main reasons that I thought of right off the top of my head. If you're renting right now, becoming a community land trust homeowner is an affordable way to begin building equity. Those homes, we'll go over this in another slide, so I'm not going to go into it right now. You can have lower mortgage payments than you might under a conventional homeownership situation where you're buying a home at market price. Your property taxes are lower, they're controlled over time. Then when you become a CLT homeowner, you get stewardship and support from the community land trust even after you purchase your home. And I'll speak briefly about the community leadership opportunities that community land trusts offer at the very end. So building equity in your home, I wanted to include this chart here because I think it's a really concrete illustration of what we mean when we say your home's value appreciates by 1.25% per year when you own it through the land trust. If you brought $75,115 to your home purchase, your appreciation would be based on that amount. And you can see that in year 5, the home would then be worth $79,810. And in year 10, $84,500. And in year 20, $93,894. So the numbers are going up slowly and steadily in a way where the next person who's coming in and buying your home in year 10 isn't paying an arm and a leg because market prices have gone through the roof, but you're also putting something in your pocket. And remember, you also build equity in your home as a homeowner as you pay down your mortgage principal over time. So think of that as well. And then the affordable mortgage payment. So payments on your mortgage are going to be more affordable if you're taking that $100,000 from the purchase subsidy, a little bit less because you're doing some closing costs, but say it's $100,000 that you're using from the program. That is, you can think of that as money that you're not borrowing for your mortgage payment, and you're affording the same house that you would otherwise be able to afford. So a $175,000 mortgage, you could be paying $936 a month just on your principal and interest. Whereas if you have only a $75,000 mortgage and then you're using the subsidy funds to offset that, you could be paying a lot less. And that's just a very obvious benefit, I think, of the program. Then I wanted to illustrate property taxes. So as a renter, I had been a renter for my whole life, and I never really thought about property taxes until I became a homeowner. But what's happening in a lot of our communities is that people are coming in, buying properties at higher prices or building larger homes on existing properties. And that is raising the value of everybody's property all around that. And the tax assessor is looking at that. So this is just an example of a conventional home on the east side that has seen its property tax assessment go up a lot over the past 5 years. And the home hasn't been redeveloped during that time. That's just the home sitting in an area where values are appreciating. So one thing that community land trust homeownership can offer is you know that your taxes are going to be based on your appreciation value. So when that home is only going up by 1.25% each year, well, guess what? Your property taxes are also only going up by that amount in the assessed value. So the tax assessor isn't going to value your home at higher than it's actually worth under the community land trust ground lease. And that keeps your property taxes lower and it keeps them from spiking, as you can see in this example. And then before I move on, just a brief note on community land trusts in general. We are a nonprofit organization, so we're actually governed by a board of directors. And in the near future, we will also be a membership nonprofit. So we'll have formal membership for all of our homeowners, and membership would give all homeowners the ability to vote on major items that concern the organization. So you'd have an annual meeting, and then at that meeting, you would actually vote to nominate the board of directors that guides the organization. All homeowners would also have an opportunity to nominate themselves or a neighbor to sit on the board of directors and participate directly in governing the organization. I just think that's a really cool aspect of community land trust homeownership, that you're buying into a organization and a community. And if you're one of those civic-minded folks who likes to be involved, there are lots of opportunities to do that, both formally through the governance and informally through just working with the community land trust on our post-purchase programs. So I wanted to add that as well. And then I would like to open it up to questions, and I have a little bit of info about how to apply if you're interested as well.
Go ahead, because I know some of these questions were on how to apply. So if you just go into the presentation, maybe it'll help answer some of the questions.
Okay, great. So if you're interested in applying for the program, know that we are launching the program in the new year. So we would be processing applications. We're currently processing applications, but we're going to be opening up the program in the new year to folks who have completed the application process. There's an application on our website that's easily accessible if you go to houstonclt.org. You can read more about all of the steps of this process on the website, as well as you can read a little bit more about the ground lease and who we are as an organization. And then you can open and submit that application fully online. It asks questions about your household size, your income, your savings, your current financial situation, your current living situation, and what you'd ideally like your future homeownership to look like. Then we contact you. We have an excellent intake team. They're very dedicated and they're very experienced, and they will work with you to make sure that you get qualified. So you send your income documents in, you get your homebuyer education courses completed, and that we connect you with one of the lenders who can actually work with our program to get your pre-approval. At the end of all of that, we get you a qualification letter, and you'll go on like I said, our wait list to be released as we release program funds in the new year. Then you'll be notified in order of your completed application that you're ready to go out and start shopping for a home. So we work really hard to make sure that people are really assisted and that the process is fully explained throughout from day one. So we're very happy to answer your questions, but do know that it does take a little bit longer to buy a home under the Community Land Trust program than it would just going out and buying a regular home, because you are going to have to get your income certified and all of that, and that happens through the city of Houston. So we don't have a lot of control over that timeline, and we try to move things as quickly as possible. But there are some extra steps involved. And if you're interested in an Avenue Meadows home and you have a specific address that you've been talking to the Avenue folks about, and you really want to go under contract on one of those homes, please tell us that in your application. That way we know that you're looking at the Avenue homes, and we can make the process go a little bit more just streamlined for you, because we know that you already have your home picked out, and we can make sure you're qualified for that home.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. So one client asked if they're looking for a home, right, can they apply for the program while they're looking for a home if they have not taken the course yet?
You can apply before you take the Homebuyer Education course. You absolutely may, but just know that when you come in for the consultation, you'll be advised to take the course. I know that they're being offered online right now due to COVID, so it is a $100 registration fee, I believe, for most of the online courses, but it is worth, the certificate that you get at the end is good for a year, so it is worth getting that out of the way, I always say, as early as you can in the process. And then for your CLT orientation, that'll happen with us at the appropriate time in your intake and your application process. So we'll be sure to guide you on that. So don't worry about that until you've already spoken to us.
Okay, on the class, is it only HUD-approved housing counseling agency certificates that you receive? Because I do know there's a variety of online classes for home buyers.
Yeah, thanks. Good point, Diana. Yes, please make sure it is an 8-hour HUD certified homebuyer education class, like the one that Avenue offers on their online platform. That is what we're looking for. That's what we need to see.
Okay, and then another question is, are there lenders who are capable of this program that could communicate in a different language, such as Vietnamese?
Unfortunately, at this time, you would need to bring a translator, or we would need to provide a translator for you, specifically for Vietnamese, and I think other languages at this point. Our loan officers, I don't think are fluent in other languages, so I apologize for that. We are always trying to work. We're always trying to bring new lenders into this program, and this is one of the reasons for that. So thank you for your question.
Okay, and if you qualify for a loan from a previous lender, does it mean that you are more likely to be able to get approved from a CLT qualified lender?
It does mean that you're likely to be approved from a CLT qualified lender in most cases. A lot of lenders look at very similar underwriting criteria when they're approving you for a loan. So if you've been approved for a standard 30-year fixed rate mortgage from one lender, unless your circumstances have changed, or the other lender is looking at slightly different parts of your credit history and things like that, often that is pretty transferable.
Okay. And then how long does this application process take?
Great question. So from the time that you fill out the application online to the time that you move into your home, that could be a significant period of time, like 6 months. But that's a total estimate. A lot of it depends on, where you are at the time that you apply. Do you already have your Homebuyer Education certificate? Do you already have a loan pre-approval? Are you ready for a mortgage pre-approval? And then also, we're building we're getting a lot of interest in the program. We're building a wait list, and we're only going to be able to release funds a certain amount at a time. So there will be a wait most likely between when you finish your application and when you get your okay to start going out and applying those funds towards a home purchase. And at this time, since we're just launching the program, I don't want to give an estimate of number of months or anything like that, but just know that we would be working through those as quickly as we can, as capacity allows, and that there may be a wait associated with that.
Okay, and then it says at this time there's only one lender on your website. Is there an updated list for lenders?
We have had 2 lenders in the past, and one of them has gone they're unable to temporarily do community land trust loans because they've had an issue with their appraisal management section, which wasn't familiar with community land trust loans. So we are down to 1. We have that other lender that we're working really hard to bring back on board. And we have a 3rd lender who we've been speaking with for all year to get them situated around CLT lending. And we're very hopeful that in the new year, they will announce that they are finally ready to originate CLT loans. And then there's a handful of others that we are attempting to work with and show that they need to get on board with our program. But at this time, if you were to get a mortgage pre-approval today, that would be your participating lender that you would need to go with.
Okay. And then it says that the map doesn't show any homes at this time. Will that be updated in the new year?
Just keep in mind that the map that we link to on the Homebuyer Choice Program website is a reference tool. So when you're out shopping for homes and you see a home that you really like, say it's an Avenue Meadows home, you can enter that address in there and search to see if that home is going to be eligible for Tier 1 or Tier 2 subsidy, if it's in the City of Houston limits, all of that. The map doesn't, we don't have any pre-selected homes that are eligible for the program. It's all about the home buyer's choice. And so it's going to be all about you going out with a realtor or with, whomever and finding a home that works for you and then making sure it qualifies. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Can it be new or a used home?
It can be if it's a used home or if it's a, a resale, then it needs to be in pretty good condition. So we're definitely going to be taking a look at that to make sure that all the major systems are in good repair and that nothing needs, replacement in the next 5 years, things like that.
So I guess just to do a quick summary, it's that the client can just go shop for a home. Let's say, just to make it quick and easy, let's say they find a new home, and depending on where they're located in the map, and if it's a tier 1 or tier 2, depending on that, it's the of what they can receive from the Houston Community Land Trust to cover their part, correct?
Exactly, yes.
So I just wanted to explain it to that way to the client.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, tier 1 is $150,000 and tier 2 is $100,000.
And that's
So
the amount that they can cover, right? To
Correct,
the difference.
correct. Yeah, because I see there's a question to explain tier 1 and tier 2. So tier 1 means if you put it in the map and you put the address in that map that you saw and it pops up as a tier 1, then you're getting up to $150,000 in assistance. If it's a tier 2 area, then it will be $100,000, up to $100,000 in assistance.
And just to let the clients know, that means you still have to invest at least $70,000. So if you were to find a $100,000 home in great condition, even though the program may be able to give you 100 or 150, it might be a little bit less, right? Because they still have to cover at least 70,000.
That's right. Yeah. So if you found a $160,000 home, you'd only be able to get $90,000 for it. That's just quick math.
Just to further explain.
And I would advise everyone to please apply with us first. The last thing we would want would be for somebody to go under contract and then try to apply and qualify for the program, because the timing would not work. So you would need to apply, and there's a specific letter that we issue that says you're now qualified and ready to go shop for a home, and then we can fund that home. And you have to have that letter before you go shop for a home.
Thank you. And I think that's it for the questions.
Awesome. Great questions. Thank you so much.
Can I just add one more thing about applying? So one thing that speeds up the process is if you have all of your documents. So when you go online and you see all the required documents, mainly paycheck stubs, bank statements, if you are receiving any type of child support payments, so Social Security payments, having all of those documents and letters and documentation ready when you apply speeds up the process. Because what will happen is if you start the application and then it takes you, 3 months to get all of your documents together, that's 3 months you could have been actually being processed and moving toward purchasing your home. So the more prepared you are when you come into the application, the easier and faster it will be for us to process you and get you kind of on the list and in the queue to actually be able to receive funds.
Do you have any other slides on your presentation, Nina?
Just the contact us slide. So that's my information, and you may also be getting information about our intake manager, Novella Bean, who is a really great resource for questions about how to apply to the program.
I have one last question that they put in there. They're asking if their information, I guess when they submit it online, if it's going to be secured.
Yes, absolutely. The application information is sent to our database via secure network.
Okay, so I'm gonna just quickly, any other questions before? Thank you so much, Nina and Ashley, for your very informative, and it's good that clients are aware of this new program. In counseling, we try to push it as much as we can so clients can be aware, just like any other down payment assistance, especially the opportunity of making a very, very affordable payment for families that sometimes may think that they don't have the opportunity of buying a home. And this definitely gives them the opportunity for the very low income to be able to become home. It's just a little, just getting them over the hurdle of just thinking that the land won't be theirs.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I just wanted to add one thing about the land, because I know that is a challenge for some people to understand, because they're looking for kind of the equity that comes with the land ownership. But I will say that there are other ways to build wealth other than with your home, especially as prices are going up. What we're seeing again are people losing their land because the prices go up faster than what people can actually afford to pay. So what I would recommend, again, the land trust is not for everybody, but what I have seen and what I would recommend is the savings that you're seeing in your housing costs. So instead of your house appreciating and now you're paying $1,500 in mortgage, you're still maintaining a $700-800 mortgage. That difference you can put towards other high interest yield accounts. You can put that into a Roth IRA. You can put that towards a 529 college savings plan. So there are other ways, instead of just saying all of your wealth is in your home, that savings that you're gaining from a very low housing cost. If you find yourself with extra funds, then put that money in places that will also build wealth for you. But having that stable housing cost, you know that's going to be stable forever, and you're not going to get hit with that increase in housing price that can sometimes cause people to foreclose or sell for a lower price than what they could normally get just to get out. So I know it's hard sometimes for people to think about building wealth outside of home ownership, but when you have such low housing costs, you are able to use any additional income that you bring in as you kind of grow in your income, then you can use that to put in other ways of building wealth.
Mm-hmm. It's just opening your mind, right? Seeing all the potentials that you will have or opportunities that you will have because your payment will be extremely affordable to you.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to quickly, before I know I'm running a little bit of overtime, but I just wanted to share my quick presentation just to let everyone know of the services that Avenue offers. So let me see if it's working. Can y'all see my screen? Yes. Okay, so I just wanted to let everyone know that yes, Avenue is a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and we do offer the Homebuyers Education class. Typically, we would do the classes in person. That's our preferred method because that's where our clients can really learn from the instructor and from their peers about the process of homeownership. But right now, due to COVID and because we have to maintain a certain distance to protect each and every one of us because of COVID, we have temporarily canceled it. So we're hoping that in the future, when everything gets better, we'll go back to being able to provide it in person. So one of the options that we currently have is the online option that Nina had mentioned. And our online class certificate is accepted by any of the down payment assistance programs or lenders that require the Homebuyers Education certificate. So the online course is a cost of $100 per person, or for 2 co-buyers if you're purchasing the same property. The clients will basically take the course on their own pace and time. So if you work, you can log in the afternoons or on the weekends and basically do it step by step until you complete the course. The course is in English and in Spanish, and it covers the same topics that we would do in person. Again, the main difference is that you won't have an instructor present, or you won't be able to learn from the questions that your peers may have because it's all online and just you in videos and reading sections that you have online. But we do have the opportunity that we're starting to do virtual classes. So the first one that we'll be doing is on December 12th. I will be hosting the first virtual Homebuyers Education class via Zoom from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it's basically the similar format. Of course, it's going to be in 8 hours, but I'll try to keep it as entertaining as possible. So if you are interested in attending, you can see our link here. And I believe Selena will be putting it on our chat box as well so that you can copy the link if you're interested in signing up for either the online course, which is $100, or if you want to take our virtual, it would be $50. And it's basically the same features as in person. The only difference is that we won't be all in one classroom. You'll be seeing me present through the 8-hour time frame, all about homeownership, and you'll be able to answer questions either verbally or through the chat feature so that you can learn more about homeownership. And if you're interested, if you send us a quick email to classes@avenuecdc.org and you type in why you would like to take the online course, the virtual online course with us, we can provide you with a $10 discount. So you would be able to take the class for $40 instead of the $50 cost. And we'll be doing that to the first 10 clients that send us that email, letting us know why you would like to take the virtual class. Okay. And then, so the class is just providing you with general information about homeownership process, So it's very generic. It's about everybody's different process, possibilities that you may see, requirements that you have to fulfill. So it's sometimes clients want to see a more person-to-person scenario of what in my scenario, what do I need to do? So in that case, we can offer homebuyer counseling. So this is something that we would that we offer to clients after taking the online course so that we can review your personal finances to see where you're at. Sometimes clients are a little bit afraid to go to the lender because they don't know where they fall. So if you come to the counseling session, which again, due to COVID, we're doing either over phone or virtually, we're able to review your finances, your credit report, your budget, determine what you can qualify for a mortgage loan, and as well discuss down payment programs that you may qualify for. Everything will be private. It's between you and a housing counselor. The credit report is a soft pull, so it will not create a hard hit on your credit. So it gives you an opportunity to see what the lenders are seeing and what maybe you can work on to further improve it and better your odds at the moment of applying for the mortgage loan. And it also lets us see if you can qualify for this down payment assistance and provide you the variety of options that are available for you. So the counseling is free. The only requirement is to take the class first so that you can better understand once we're discussing your financial situation in the counseling session. So if you're interested, definitely contact us if you're interested in the online class or the virtual, and then come to counseling. So before we end, I know I quickly went through it, but I just want to make sure if there's any other questions before we end, either for me or for Nina or Ashley about the Houston Community Land Trust Program. So it says, Mr. Pham, can you explain your question? It says something about taking another class. I think maybe you're talking about the Houston Community Land Trust orientation that you have to complete for their program. So can you just do a little recap, Nina, about what that orientation is?
Sure. So the Houston Community Land Trust orientation class is required if you want to go through the Community Land Trust purchase program, like the Homebuyer Choice Program. That class is typically a small group or one-on-one session that we're also hosting virtually for the time being, where we go through in a lot of detail what the ins and outs of being a community land trust homeowner are as distinct from conventional homeownership. So we go over that 99-year ground lease, and we talk about what happens if I want to make a certain improvement to my home, or what happens when I really decide it's time for me to move on and resell, or what happens, how do I pay my monthly lease fee, and all of that good stuff. So that is a CLT requirement and something that we will schedule with you during your application process.
Okay. And then a client asks, if I completed the course in person last year, is the cost the same? So the online class is $100. The virtual will be $50, and that is similar to the in-person class. Yes, the certificate is only good for 12 months. So if your certificate expired, then yes, you would have to retake it. But if your certificate hasn't expired, then your certificate is still valid to be able to be used with any down payment program or with any lender that requests the certificate. And I believe that's all the questions. Unless there's any other questions that someone may have, you can either unmute yourself to ask your questions or just add them to the chat box. Well, I'll thank everybody so much for attending, and thank you, Nina and Ashley, again for joining us today with providing us information for the Houston Community Land Trust Program. And again, if anybody has any requests for more information, Selena did provide on the chat box features how to contact the Houston Community Land Trust for further information, and as well us if you're interested in taking either the online course or the virtual course, or if you just have any basic generic questions, you definitely can give us a call here at our main number or send us via email so that we can help answer your questions. So again, thank you again for attending. I'll just stay behind a little bit longer if anyone else has any questions. So thank you so much.